Hello guys, so this is Miss Farmer and I am recording your Module 2 practice test, which is all about GCF, LCM, and the distributive property. So before we go forward and we start answering some of these questions, we have to know the three things that are the most important things, the most important about this entire unit. And so the first two are the difference between GCF and LCM. So let's go ahead and talk about those two things. My pen works. Maybe. So when we are talking about GCF, and then we're also talking about LCM. They are two completely different things, and it's pretty common that they are thought about. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about some options or some differences between the two. And we are going to look at one number in particular and talk about the difference. So the one number I'm thinking of is the number 8. So we're going to talk about the GCF of 8 and the LCM of 8. So how I determine this is GCF is greatest common factor and LCM is least common multiple. So the key words here are definitely the words factor and the words multiple. So we have to know what they mean. So I'm not sure how else to remember it other than I remember multiple as mountain, so it makes the number bigger, but factoring is you're breaking down the number. So when we are talking about factors of 8, we're talking about numbers that multiply to be 8. And I'm sorry, wrong thing. So we're talking about factors of the number 8 here. So that's something like 8 and 1, 4 and 2. Those are numbers that multiply together to be 8, and so they are considered factors. I don't know if you can just, they're the smaller of the two. Then we're talking about multiples of 8, okay? These are things with that M that's like 8 times 1, that's 8. Let me write this a little bit smoother. Sorry. So these are like 8 times 1, 8 times 2, 8 times 3, so 8, 16. Oops, 24. Where am I going with that? 24. These here are your multiples. Again, I just think of the word mountain. It just kind of sticks in my head. And they just remind me that mountains are big, so I need to make that number bigger. Factors are making that number into smaller, cute little ones. So I think that's the most difficult part. It's just bouncing back between what a factor is and what a multiple is. So let's go ahead and do some problems, and then if I need to do a second video, absolutely will. So let's go to the first question. This is your Module 2 practice test, and it is found in Progress Learning. Practice. This is a practice test. It's just extra credit. These questions are very similar to the ones you'll see on your actual test, and it is in Progress Learning. All right. Okay. So Module 2 practice test. So it says, place each set of numbers in the column that is the least common multiple for the set of numbers. Perfect. So let's go ahead and first this goes into my brain. I'm looking at the word multiple, mountains, like I am going to be making these numbers bigger. And so out of all of these options down here, all of them have a least common multiple of 12, 20, or 24. We just have to figure out which one. So let's look at 3 and 4. So this is that, we did the M's if you remember. Okay, so 3 and 4. So I need to think of like 3 times 1, 3 times 2, 3 times 3, things like that. So we have, oops, let's do 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15. And then we're going to do 4 times 1, 4 times 2, 4, like we're just going to do some multiples of 4. So we have 4, 8, 12, 16, and 20. So we found our multiples, but it's not just any multiple. It's the least common one. So we have to not only find the common one, but the smallest number they have in common. So I can see in the list, actually, the first number, the smallest common multiple they have is 12. So this 3 and 4 would go into this 12 section. I can't drag it from the PowerPoint, but that would go into that section. Okay, So let's do 4 and 6. Again, you don't have to, I'm going to draw these M's for the first couple of them, but you do not have to draw the M. It just, I don't know, it's more of a visual thing. So we have 4 and 6. So again, I'm just going to list off some multiples of 4. So 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. Let's do some of 6. We have 6, 12, 18, 24, and 30. All right, so I listed 5 multiples of each, but I still don't see one in common. Guess we got to go a little bit further. So sometimes what I do is like, all right, let's go another list of 4. Oh, there's 24, because that's 4 times 6. That is the very first number that they have in common in their list. So their least common multiple would be 24. So this one would go here. You just drag it in there. All right. We're going to keep going. Let's do 4 and 5. If I go too fast at any point in this video, you know that you are absolutely welcome to just pause it, write it on your own paper, and then rewatch it. You know, don't try to copy it as you're watching it. I would recommend doing one and then the other. So let's go ahead and do 4 and 5. So I'm not going to draw the M because I just, you know, at some point we don't need to. All right, multiples of 4. We have 4, 8, 12, 16, and 20. Multiples of 5, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So I can automatically see that 20 they have in common. So their least common multiple, it's the first number they have in common, is 20. Yay. We're doing good, guys. All right, let's do 4 and 10. So 4 and 10. So I'm going to list some factors of 4, or multiples of 4, I'm so sorry. 4, 8, 12, 16, and 20. Multiples of 10, 10, 20. Oh, I'm not even going to go any further because I already see the least common multiple. It's the smallest number that they have in common. So this would also go into this category. Isn't this cool? This is getting a little bit easier. All right. Let's do 3 and 8. So we have 3 and 8. All right, so we have 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15. Let's see if we can go to 8. We have 8, 16, 24, 32, and 40. So I'm making my list, and I'm still not seeing one. Maybe let's go farther with the 3s. Let's keep going. We have 18. That's not on this list. The next one would be 21. That's not on this list. Ooh, but 24 is. Look at that. So they both share 24. So then we know that 3 and 8 would go into this category. Now the last one's a little bit tricky. Okay, so the last one has 3 numbers. So now we've got to find a least common multiple between 3 numbers. So we have 4, 6, and 8. All right, so let's start listing off some factors of 4. You're going to get really good at your multiplication skills for LCM. We have 4, 8, 12, 16, and 20. I'm going to go same thing with number 6. So we have 6, 12, 18, 24, and then 30. Now, look at this. They both share a 12. That's helpful. We knew they both share a 12. Why did this is wrong. 4 and 6 should be in here. Sorry. They both share a 12, but we still need to match up with the number 8 as well. Sorry. By the way, 4 and 6 should be in that category. I'm sorry. So let's go ahead and do factors of 8, or multiples of 8. So we have 8, 16. That's not in any of theirs. It shares it with 8, but it doesn't share it with 6. And then we have 24. Now, I know that 8 and 6 share the 24, and I know it's not listed, but I know the very next multiple of 4 is 24, and it is the very first number that all 3 of them share in common. Not too bad. I know it's a long problem, but it just gets some good practice in. So that was number 1. All right, let's go ahead and go into question number 2. What is the GCF of 32 and 56? So this is how we start breaking things down. So 1, we have to know what GCF is in the first place. I know that it's greatest common factor. It tells me what to do, okay? But what in the world's a factor again? Okay, I know that multiple is the mountain, it makes it bigger, so factors must break it down. Okay, we need factors of 32 and 56. Let's do that. 56. All right, let's think of 2 numbers that multiply together to be 32. Easiest one over is 32 and 1. We have 2 and 16. I'm pretty sure 8 and 4 are it. I think that's it. Can't think of any more. Let's do 56. So factors of 56. Okay, so we have, I know 8 and 7, 2 and 28. I know 1 and 56. I think 4 and 14. Let's try that. I'm pretty sure 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 1, yes. Okay, 4 times 14. All right. Okay, so now that we listed all of the factors of 32 and 56, we have to look back at our rules. Greatest common factor. So which ones do they have in common? All right, so they have 2s in common. They have 1s in common. They have 4s in common. And they have 8s in common. Oof, they got a lot in common, don't they? I think that's it. Okay, but it's not just asking which is the common factor, because they're all up here. It wants the greatest common factor. So out of all of them, out of all the factors that they share, 8 would be the greatest common factor. But again, just remember to go back down the list. Find the factors, step 1. Find the common ones, step 2. Find the greatest of the common ones. That's step 3. All right, let's do another one. So now we're going to switch gears because I see the word multiple, not factors. Multiple, I think of mountain. I think we're making it bigger. We're going to make it bigger, and this is that big M situation. So let's think of numbers that multiply, or we have to make 12 and 24 bigger. Okay. I know that 12 times 1 is 1, 12 times 2 is 24, 36, 42, 48, just kidding. And then 24 times 1 is 24. Whoa, wait, hold on. Guess what, guys? I don't even have to go farther. I don't even have to multiply 24 to other things because I've already found the very first multiple that they have in common. Isn't that cool? So it says, which of these is a multiple of 12 and 4? Well, it has to be 24. And even if you're not 100% sure if it was that easy, we know that multiples mean mountains, which means I'm making it bigger. So I can go ahead and cross out the ones that are smaller. So then it even brings you down to a 50-50 situation. So if you ever get stuck and you're like, I just cannot remember how to find, I don't know. I know what I know what a multiple is. So that makes it a little bit easier. All right. We're not switching gears. What is the LCM of 9 and 15? Again, multiple here. So now I'm thinking my big M. Thinking I'm making them bigger, like the mountains. All right. So 9, I know 9 times 1, 18, 27, 36, 45, 54. Oh gosh, we're going to keep going. So 54 and then 63, 72, 81, and 90. Okay. Sorry. Now let's do 15. We have